as you know, the rainy season is upon us here in the FCT. And one of the things that we have a problem with is flooding and how we can avoid flooding in the FCT. Today we have a very special guest here in the studio with us, and he is the Director General, FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Mr. Abbas Idris, or I should say Alhaji Abbas Idris.
Anyone, thank you very much for
You're
having
welcome
me.
to the
You're
program,
welcome
sir.
to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, as rainy season is underway here in the FCT,
Yeah.
and of course, when there are areas in the FCT that you might be passing, and there's a bit of water there, and there's always that fear of flooding in the FCT before we get towards the end of the year where the rainy season stops.
Yeah.
But before we delve into flooding itself, can you shed some light on some of the activities that FEMA cover in general?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, Abuja. As you all know, Abuja is an urban city, and it has a lot of its own characteristics. And we are also aware that we have what is called urban flooding, as well as flash flooding. We cannot do away with these two in a city like Abuja. What we are trying to avoid is a situation whereby we have a flooding that will, overcome the responders' capacity. And so before I go into that, you asked me what our mandate is all about.
Yeah.
The mandate of the FCT Emergency Management Agency is basically coordination. We are to coordinate all the responders within the FCT, and to ensure that the FCT is safe. We are also to mobilize both human and material resources to ensure that the FCT is covered adequately. What I mean by this is that in terms of equipment and in terms of human ability to manage whatever that we face the FCT. In that case, it is saying, in other words, that FEMA does not mean to have all the resources at its own disposal in their offices, but they should have those who have the stakeholders who are having the wherewithal and who are also trained in their own field to have such resources. Of course, you cannot expect me as the DG to go to the to go and start doing the work of Federal Road Safety Corps.
Yes,
But
sir.
I can activate the Federal Road Safety Corps in terms of any road crash. So this is basically our own activity.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Having heard those activities that FEMA does in Abuja, and then we're still dealing with the issue of flooding.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what we should look at for in the FCT for possible flooding that may occur?
Yes, like I said, we cannot do away without flooding. Flooding is part and parcel of our lives, anywhere you are, anywhere you live. But we should try as much as possible to avoid flooded areas. We are, FCT is predicted to be one of those states in court that are going to have flooding this year.
Wow.
Two of the area councils are on the red zone, and NTA Channel 5 is in the red zone, because AMAC is in the red zone and NTA Channel 5 is in AMAC.
Wow.
And so we also have Gwagwalada Area Council, which is also on the red zone. That does not mean that other area councils, so that people will not start migrating to other area councils.
Yeah.
Other area councils too are prone to flooding. So, but not at that magnitude of the definition I gave on the red zone. So, but we are doing everything possible to ensure that if we cannot prevent it, we are going to mitigate it by the grace of God.
Okay. Wow. So, what would like to know now is the state of preparedness that you are in the event of any flooding? Like, are there any measures that are in place to prevent flooding in the FCT?
Yes, preparedness is one of the cardinal principles of any disaster management agency like ours. If you are not prepared, if you are not ready, if you don't research, if you don't focus, and you don't follow the releases or the forewarning of the other agencies like NISA and NIMET, then you cannot be able to do anything. And our preparedness starts right away, immediately after the rainfall. After this season, we have to start preparing for another rainfall.
Wow.
And how do we prepare is to look at our own lapses in that last year's
Previously,
season
yeah.
to see where do we had flooding and what happened, were we able to overcome it? If we were not able to overcome, what really caused that gap? So we now collectively come together and put the gaps together. And then also, now in the next few days, we are going to have our coordination meeting of all the stakeholders in the flood sector, and then avail them of this knowledge that these two area councils are on the red zone. And then everybody, what I mean by everybody, every agency must tell us the kind of resources they'll be able to deploy in case there is a flood elsewhere. So, and then we note it, we take note of it, and when there is flood, we call you to activate those resources.
Yeah.
And if we all harness all the resources and discover that it's not much, then there is what we call contingency plan. And then so we'll go into our contingency plan and make it up to ensure that there's no gap at that point in time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one, because having hearing this,
Yeah.
I am a bit
You're
calm.
relieved, yeah.
Yes, I'm a bit
Yeah.
relieved that you're working very hard and all hands
Yes.
are on deck to make sure that in case of flooding, you know, you
Yeah.
are safe. Sir, can you tell us some of the warnings you want to give to FCT residents in case of or on how to manage the flood? What are the warnings in case
Well,
of flood?
we have been giving warnings years after years, but that is notwithstanding. The basic thing is that we all love our lives. So
Sure.
the first warning is we should try as much as possible to safeguard our lives. The next thing is to safeguard our own properties.
Yeah.
And okay, how do we safeguard our lives and our properties from flooding? Is to avoid building on the waterways.
Okay.
If you don't build on the waterways, but somebody comes to build on the waterways, you should be able to raise alarms so that we should know that somebody is blocking the waterways. And if we don't, if you build on the waterways, that means you are causing flooding somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if you block the waterways, water must pass.
Yes, definitely.
By all means, it must pass.
That's true.
Secondly, those who dump refuse to block the drainages, these are also people who cause flooding. This is what caused the urban flooding and other things. And if you do that, that is why you could see when you are driving, you see water, because the drains are full, and the manholes also were full. So there's no way water can pass. So it has to be on the surface of the land. So if we avoid that, we'll be able to drive safely. And most times, if you go to satellite towns, they don't throw away refuse until when they see water is coming. Then they start coming out with and dump it in the drainages, thinking that the water will take it away.
Yeah.
Yes, it will take it away from the point you put, but it will go and get chocked somewhere, and then that is when it will overflow and then affect the other people. So we should be able to be our brothers keepers, like always we say. So if we do that, then majorly don't drive in any running water.
Wow.
Don't drive in any running water. When you see water on the road, please stop. Wait for the water to go. It won't be more than 5 to 15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes, it will get cleared. And I always say, if you are coming from home, you have a program, and you are coming, please, your life first.
Yeah.
You see water, call your producer, call your director, call whoever, tell that water is on the way, on the road, so can't be able to come. If you close, don't go home until road is cleared. We have all marked all the areas that are prone to flooding, that if you see, you will see our signboard there. So please don't run through running water, no matter how little you think it is.
Yeah, because you can't control
You
it.
cannot control it.
Okay, so sir, before you go, because we've been talking about flooding, which is very, very important, but there are other aspects of our lives here in the FCT that FEMA does a good job of, taking care of.
Yes.
So we'd like to know what those other things are that FEMA control as well.
Well, you see, like I said, we are coordinators. We coordinate all the resources and all other stakeholders together. So in every aspect, we are there. We are into ambulance services. You can call our ambulance, through 112 toll-free emergency number. We'll be there. If there is any accident or if there is anything that you think it is not good, it's looking disturbing to you, you can call the 112, and then our rescue team will be there. And the fire incident also, if there is any fire, you can call our team, 112. Our firemen will be there to ensure that they extinguish the fire. But majorly, what I want people to note is that if there is fire in your room, please, if your windows are open, close the windows, close the door. Don't allow anybody, then call the 112. Okay. Because the moment you open the windows, you are amplifying the fire. So the moment, because most of the people will now come and start hitting the window, throwing water, throwing sand, they are now increasing the fire. Before our team come to that place, the whole house is raised. But if you have a big house and fire starts from the room, just lock the room, close the windows, go out, call the 112. Firemen will come and meet the fire in that room. It will not go to anywhere.
It will spread
Yes,
to other rooms.
and then I encourage you, especially those ladies who are cooking, to ensure that you have the fire extinguisher in your kitchen and you have the fire blanket also in your kitchen. Once there is fire, you can put the blanket and cover it, and that is over. So if you have extinguisher, you can extinguish it and it is over. So also, if it is overwhelming, close the windows, close the door, and then call the 112. The fire team will be there.
Thank you, sir. That's excellent advice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, it's been an eye-opening one, and thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to come out here.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with the Director General, FCT, Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and of course he has told us what we should do and try as much as possible to please raise awareness. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, share with your family members, and of course, safety first always. So please, 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 don't put your lives on the line. Try as much as possible to practice safety. Thank you once again to Abbas Idris, who has taken the time to come out here.
Thank you for having me.
Good Morning Abuja will continue shortly after this.